Okay, let's go over our second full review before we take our Module 1 assessment. The first review was the green packet. This is the blue packet. This is our second full review. A third review has been with the word problem page that we got yesterday. And additionally, we did do a mid-module assessment that you can use for practice as well. So what you're trying to look at right here is to correct your blue packet, but I'm going to be focusing on the point value. You can obviously pause this at any time to check your answers, but I'm going to go over the points. So what we're looking at here is 1 point for showing work. It does say you need to create a place value chart or show work in some manner. I used a modified place value chart. Some of you may want a more traditional place value chart. That's up to you. But you get 1 point for the work, 1 point for the correct answer, which means this entire page is worth 8 points. The second page is also worth 8 points. You get 1 point for being able to show your work that shows that you can identify what this is. You can put this in standard form, 1 point. You can put this one in standard form, 1 point. And if you identify, in this case, that they're not the same, 1 point. You do not need the sentence. It's just me explaining it to you. Number 6, find the product. We talked about how a lot of you don't know what this word means. So we've talked about its vocabulary. This is now the third time you're seeing it. Product means multiplication. Sum is when you want to add something. Difference, subtraction, quotient, division. So product means what is the answer to this multiplication problem? Here is the equation, 7 3/10 multiplied by 8. I used an area model. Errors I'm seeing is that you forget what you're multiplying. This is 8 times 7 ones, 56 ones. 8 times 3/10, 24 tenths, not 24. So you add them up. All this work is worth 1 point. 1 point if you get the correct answer. Number 7 is something to really pay attention to because we agreed there's going to be no partial credit, no halves here. So unit form, you read the decimal, 34 and 7/10. So in preparing you for these type of math problems that we've been doing, we talked about how since you said tenths, that should be the unit you use. In unit form, we're not going to see decimals. So it is 347 tenths. There are many unit forms that you can use, but we said this is the one we're working on because you're struggling here. 1 point if you can say this in word form, which means no numbers. Expanded form, we talked how it is a little different than your elementary way because we are focusing on the units. So there are 3 tens, 4 ones, 7 tenths. You could do it as a decimal or a fraction. Pick one or the other. 1 point. Page is worth 8 points. Next, we are looking at this page, which is worth 10 points. So it is 1 point for each of these you get correct, and 1 point for showing that you know the standard form for all of these. So there's the standard form. So now you can compare those two. Now you can compare these two. Now you can compare them. Just want to give you a review to help you get the correct answer. Don't forget that one of the ways we showed you to compare two decimals is line up the place values. So it's that stack to compare idea. So when I stack them up, I see that these are equal. When I stack these up, I can more readily see which is greater. So that stack to compare is a really method you may want to use. Again, modified field hockey practice has been canceled for today, but all players need to visit Miss Biondo's room before getting onto the bus. Okay. So here we're looking at, don't forget, this is addition, subtraction, addition, subtraction. On the test, be very careful. Make sure you add when it says addition and you subtract when it says subtraction. You do not want to lose points because you didn't follow the directions and you did the wrong operation. So you get 1 point for setting it up correctly, knowing that you need to put the different place values above each other, all the hundreds over the all the hundredths over the hundredths, the tenths over the tenths, ones over ones, lining up the decimals. That's 1 point. And you get a second point if you can get it correct. So best of luck. This top is worth 8. This bottom is worth 3. 2 points for all the work, 1 point for your answer. This is 6 friends each drank this. How much altogether? Here is the equation. Here is my area model. Don't forget place value. That's where a lot of you are messing it up. You're getting a little sloppy thinking you don't have to write all this in, and it's making errors. You practice the way you want to perform. And we talked about this is the famous typo. Otherwise, it's asking you to divide again, so it's they. This typo has been on the first packet. It's here again. And on the test, you'll see my handwriting repairing it. But we talked our way through this 11 points. Next, this page is worth 8 points. So this is fun. This is rounding. If your rounding does not look like my rounding, you need to revisit that idea. Rounding is not the same as estimating. You round to get an estimate, which is what this is. Here's the actual. So if you didn't remember how to round to the nearest tenth, you could have gone back to your vertical number lines. If you made an error, then let's just review. Remember, it's to the nearest tenth. I identified my 10th place, and I know that it's the digit in a hundredths place that's going to tell me if I round up or if I stay the same. So you get 1 point for rounding this one correctly, 1 point for rounding this one correctly, 1 point for rounding this one correctly, 1 point for being able to add them up properly. For B, you get 1 point for properly setting up the addition problem, which means you're able to copy the numbers correctly. You line up the place values. You line up the decimals. That's worth 1 point. If you actually add it correctly, that's 1 point. C, it is 1 point for setting up the subtraction problem, finding the difference between these two numbers properly, writing the numbers properly, lining up the place value, lining up the decimals. That's 1 point. And 1 point if your subtraction is correct. And the last problem is number 12. So this is talking about the price of 2 items. Now in this problem, it's a skateboard and a helmet. On the first test, we did a bowl, or I think it was a bowl of soup and a sandwich. On the test, I believe it's a cup of soup and a sandwich. That being said, so we're adding these items up. A skateboard costs $45.99. The skateboard costs $10.50 more than the helmet. So the skateboard is greater than the helmet. 2 points if you can properly identify the values of the skateboard and the helmet. 2 points if you properly add them together, the whole thing, the setup, the lining up of the place values. And 1 point if you can properly subtract from the number to find out how much change is left. So this whole problem, this whole setup is 5 points. That's a big one. I want to wish you the best of luck. If you need to study, here's what to do. Use these packets. Identify the areas where you're making errors and practice those problems again and again and again. Cover up the answers. Try them again and again and again. You can use IXLs to work on those skills. You can watch the videos that match the lessons from the YouTube channel that I linked to you. You can use your green packet, the first final review that we did. You can use this blue packet. You can use the word problem packet. You can look at your homeworks, your problem sets. First things first, identify your weaknesses and focus there.